1, 2, 3. Nope. Get some video going. Here we go. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Hialeah Planning and Zoning Board meeting for Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. Everyone, please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity granted us here tonight. We ask that you please watch over us, enlighten us, and help us make the right decisions for the city and its constituents. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
I'd like to introduce my friend, newly appointed councilman, Mr. Fabian Crespo, right there. Thank you
Welcome.
for joining us, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Meeting guidelines. The following guidelines apply to today's Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video functions of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard. All lobbyists must register with the Planning and Zoning Board prior to item being heard. A maximum of 4 speakers in favor and 4 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the Planning and Zoning Board on any item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Item number 1, roll call. Mr. Perez?
Here.
Mr. Mason is absent. Mr. Iglesias is absent. Mr. Jimenez?
Here.
Mr. Ulloa?
Here.
Mr. Santiesteban?
Here.
Mrs. Enriquez? Here. We have a quorum. Item number 2. Approval of Planning and Zoning Board summary agenda of April 9th, 2025 as submitted. Motion to approve.
Second.
We had a motion by Mrs. Enriquez, second by Mr. Santiesteban. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Mr. Santiesteban?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez? Yes. Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Item has been approved. Administration of all to all applicants and anyone who will be speaking before the board on any item.
Anyone and everyone that will be speaking in front of the board, please stand, raise your hand so we can swear you in. That includes all, is there anyone in Zoom? No?
Okay. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth before this board? ¿Usted jura o afirma decir la verdad ante esta junta?
Thank you. You may be seated. Let the record show the answer was on the affirmative.
A written decision and resolution will be prepared and presented for review to the city council. The city council is authorized to affirm with conditions, or override the decisions by resolution. After the resolution is adopted, contact the member of the city clerk's office to obtain a copy of the final decision and resolution. Upon your receipt of the final decision and resolution, contact the building department to obtain your required building permit. Summary minutes or a copy of the audio file of the proceedings before the Planning and Zoning Board shall be prepared and submitted to the City Council before its hearing. The Planning and Zoning Board recommendations for the following public hearing requests will be heard by the City Council at a scheduled meeting of Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. Item number 3. Rezoning property from R1 one-family district to R2 1 and 2 family residential district. Variance permit to allow the construction of a duplex on a substandard lot having a frontage of 60 feet or 75 feet are required. Allow total lot coverage of 36%, where 30% is the maximum allowed, and to allow interior east and west side setbacks of 6.6 feet, where 7.5 feet are required. Properties located at 728 East 41st Street, Hialeah zones R1, one-family district. Applicant Manny Reus, architect on behalf of Ana Castillo Escoto and Melvin Rivera Gunera.
Manny,
Good
identify
evening.
yourself, please.
Yes, Manny Rose Architect with offices at 18501 Pines Boulevard, Suite 342, Pembroke Pines, Florida.
Thank you, sir.
This property is located at the south side of East 41st Street between Lejeune Road and East 7th Avenue. The lot is the third lot from East 7th Avenue with approximately 7,860 square feet of area. The lot is improved with a one-story single-family home structure of approximately 1,040 square feet of living area built in 1956, according to city records. This block has a closed 12-feet alleyway, and this property has fenced the corresponding 6 feet. The property currently has homestead exemption and also has an open code case relating to a recreation vehicle violation. This application consists on the request to rezone the lot from R1 to R2, to introduce a two-story duplex within the non-conforming lot size since the lot has been platted and developed prior to the current zoning regulations of 75 feet of frontage. The nonconformity only applies to the frontage requirement since the area of the lot satisfies the minimum lot area of 7,500 square feet. Therefore, a duplex is permitted according to section 98-544. According to the proposed plans, the two-story duplex will be developed as a 2 3-bathroom units with rear open terraces, a pool, and 4 parking spaces at the front of the property. Both levels will have access to the pool through an exterior spiral staircase. The exterior architectural elements are linear and modular, as seen in modern architectural styles with decorative elements. The proposal includes each residential unit to be 2,061 square feet of living area, which is almost double of the living area of the existing structure, resulting in a lot coverage variance. This variance is for a 6% lot coverage increase than the allowance of 30% coverage, meaning an approximately of 470 square feet of extra living area. In addition, the design is also requesting side setback variance due to the narrowing nature of the lot since the frontage is 60 feet. Instead of the 7 feet 6 inches, the project is providing a foot less of separation of the property line on each side. The area along East 41st Street is an area in transition, as the other two-story modern-style houses are already in place. In addition, this block faces Lejeune Road with commercial activity such as restaurants, automobile services, retail, and others. This block fits as a buffer between the commercial activities and the single-family structures towards the west. However, since one-story single-family home structure are still adjacent to the proposal site, it is requested that a lush landscaping canopy trees are placed on site to provide for privacy to neighboring properties. The property shall be developed according to plans by Manny Reus Architecture, space planning signed by Manny Reus and dated March 11, 2025. Staff recommends approval for the rezoning and variances with conditions.
Thank you, Claudia. May I say congratulations on your promotion. Although you have been a stable presence in this board, you're now playing a more important role. So do I need to say welcome or just, I mean, you've been here. So
Thank you,
congratulations.
appreciate
I
it.
think
I appreciate the board.
congratulations is the,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you. Manny?
Yes, good evening. On the printout on item number 3, which we're in, the 7.5 feet is to the water's, it's the 6.5 feet is to the water's edge of the pool. The house is, the duplex is basically set back per code in itself. So it is not the 6.5, it's not to the structure, but to the water's edge, because there's a requirement of 7.5 to the pool. But we try to make the pool deck area around it comfortable for the parties. But basically, we have, I did a printout on front of the packages that I distributed through the ladies. Being an elegant, modern style project, 2 stories, met with the family behind me various times. I want to make it very clear that this is a unique project, strictly designed for a family, not for rent. I've conversed with ownership and I have to send an email to Claudia that they're willing to generate a legal recorded document for life on this property. Because the mom is gonna live on the ground floor and the gentleman that my client is gonna live on the second floor. This is not a rental unit. This is for them to live. Especially implied in the swimming pool in the back. You don't do a swimming pool for two different people and everybody uses it. We don't do that. In addition, when I have met with Deborah before, she recommended that we create a buffer, which we have on the front of the property with landscaping, a privacy wall low enough and a gate, implying that this is a private quarter. We have the proper parking and all the pertinent neighbors in the area, which some of them could or could not come, and they will be here for the following hearing, God willing that we get approval. They're all in favor of it. They know that it's like Claudia was mentioning, it's a transition period on the block. It's changing. So everybody on the board knows that we do pretty nice work on all over the place, but especially here in Hialeah. So I would suggest that please, if the board could approve it, and if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Manny. Two questions.
Yes, sir.
Actually, one clarification, if you will.
Yes.
You mentioned something about water's edge.
Yes, sir. If you look at the site plan, the distance between the rear property and the water's edge is actually more. I take it back.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
So if you go to the site plan, which is sheet A1,
Right.
the project is requesting side setbacks.
Yeah, but in the rear, on the printout here, it says where 7.5 is required, east or west side setback. Oh, I'm sorry, it says side.
It's for the side.
I apologize.
that-
Sorry about that.
No.
Okay.
One. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, and the reason I ask is I'm a little,
I think that's 6.15 to 7.5. The pool to the rear is 7.5, but he needs.
okay. Okay, that's what I needed to clarification. When you say water's edge, you're talking about the pool.
Yeah, but I was wrong. They were talking about the interior side setback. I
Okay,
apologize.
because typically when I hear water's edge, it's because you're talking about a lake, a
No,
canal, some
no.
kind of body of water.
No, what happens is when you design swimming pools, they take it to the edge of the water.
Okay.
For the setback.
Okay,
And in this case, just as a clarification, the pool complies with the
Okay.
back regulations.
no, again, just a housekeeping for
Okay.
myself. Also, did the usual suspect design this?
Yes,
Tell her congratulations.
Yes.
She's done it again.
yes.
Okay.
I was gonna mention that at the end, but you beat me to it.
Comments or questions from the board?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I know you're saying it's not going to be a rental, but what's to prevent it from being a rental in the future?
Legal document recorded.
So we're rezoning it as an R2 though. Is it an R2 for multifamily?
We are reasoning as an R2, correct?
So they could rent it in the future if they
Well,
wanted to.
But the intent of the approval from the board, I mean, they're here. You can ask them directly, because I've asked them first day they came into the office, I said, wait a minute, we're three lots away, blah, 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 blah. This is something different. So they said they were gonna live there. That's their livelihood. And I mean, I threw up the idea of a legal document in the case you all have a problem with it. But I mean, they can come up here, they've raised their hand, and you can ask them directly if you want.
Yeah, no, I don't have to do that. I like what your wife did. It's beautiful. I love the design.
Thank
of
you.
the
I'll
pool,
tell her.
everything. It is exactly like Mr. Perez said. The only thing that I have is I Google map everything that I look at, and I see that this is a residential area except for a two-story building that's across the street that they're building.
That's correct. It's already built.
Is that a rental?
No, it's a single family home.
Single family. So that area is just single family home, and that's what I'm concerned about, opening up a can of worms and giving that an R2. What's gonna stop from making everything an R2 next to it? That's what I wanna,
I have an answer for that. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do, but if you go around the neighborhood, a great deal of those units have more than one party living in it. You can tell
Oh,
right away. right
That's
away
all
with
of
the-
Hialeah.
What's that?
Unfortunately, that's the majority of Hialeah.
Yeah, but we're trying to do it right.
Yeah, I understand. Is there any way that we could do it instead of rezoning it as an R2? Keeping it as an R1, but the construction is done in a way that maybe there's a connecting door or stairway to the second floor interior to prevent it, maybe a different design of the property to, so we could rezone it as an R1 instead of an R2.
It is an R1 already, so they can maintain it. They want to do the duplex design, and that is the request of the applicant. I mean, the design that they're providing, it's satisfactory, and with the addition of the condition that you want to put in the property, you can put a condition that it has to be amended by this board, such document. So it's not an administrative process. So in that way, whenever you review that, for any change, it will have to come to this board and to the council to amend it.
I understand what you're saying, but it still concerns me that we're gonna open up a can of worms, because somebody else is gonna say, well, I wanna do an R2 too. And if we're just gonna open up a floodgate, that's what I love what you're doing, okay? I really respect what you're doing, and I respect what the family's doing. I just don't like the rezoning. I'm all for
Go ahead.
the property being built in a different manner, maybe a redesign that actually makes it a single family home that with multiple bedrooms, a very large size single family home instead of rezoning the property. That's what I would prefer to see, because I feel that by doing an R2 in that entire R1 area is going to just open the floodgates for everybody else to start doing it.
I have not a suggestion, but I'm gonna throw a bone your way. There's also an option of extended family quarters. That can stay as an R1 and through,
No?
no?
What happened is there's several conditions that they need to be in place in order to do that. For example, the owners, they need to be 55 and older. And
They're what, I'm sorry?
they need to be 55 and older, the property owners and,
But how about the people living?
He would have to, his plans, he would have to change his plans completely. For it to be an R1 and extended living quarters. The plans he's presented, what I've seen, the only thing available to the plans that he's presented would be an R2. And he's presenting a duplex in reality, and you can't have anything other than an R2 zone if you want a duplex.
And also as a point of clarification, this block, it has commercial to the east and it has the R1, and it will be a nice transition to have the R2. And that is to the comment to it, because you have a very dense activity on one end, and then you have very low activity on the other end. So that transition actually will protect for the areas that are towards the west on this street. And as you saw, the 2 stories, and there is another one approved but not constructed. So that it will make the transition. It will serve also for the commercial areas that they are towards Lejeune Road. So it's not a road that is so far away from that capacity.
I understand, but still, it's in an R1 area. That's my concern. Yes, as it stands, it's still.
As it
an
stands
R1
today,
area.
yes.
And as Mr. Alexander said, there is a way that they could redo the plans to make it into a certain way of.
Well, what I said was the way his plans are presented today, the only way that would work is a rezoning to R2. He
But if
couldn't
we-
keep an R1 with
If
the
there's a
plans.
small change to the plan, let's say a door or a tweak or a stairway, it could go into an R1.
I don't know that it would be a small change, Claudia. I think it would be.
I will defer to the architect.
Yeah.
I don't know how feasible it will be.
Anything in life is doable. That when the tenants came to me, the owners, they wanted a duplex. The idea that the gentleman has, I've already turned my face to the back to the owner. They don't have a problem doing that. But fire exits, I still have to keep my stairs on the front and, the spirals in the back, because the fire department is not gonna allow me to remove those stairs.
But doesn't the stairs make it an R1 if it's connecting?
No. If I do the stairs inside, I cannot remove the stairs on the outside. because it's the area of the second floor exceeds a certain distance that I have to be able to exit.
I understand.
So I just want to make sure you
I'm not
understand.
against your project at all. I'm just,
Yeah, you're
I'm
concerned about the
con-
change of the name, but
Uh,
trust me, give it a few years. I'm not the only one that's coming up here with R2s
Yeah.
in areas.
That-
And I
that's-
understand, I
that's
respect your
the sad
opinion.
part about it, because I am not in favor of losing our R1s. And we're gonna give them up one after the other, one after the other. And everybody's gonna redevelop and make everything R2, R3, whatever. And we're gonna run out of our single family homes in Hialeah. And this is just gonna become
Well,
apartment city.
You know, I have my
Which is-
personal opinion on that, which I don't need to share, but
Yeah.
you know, the issues with the efficiencies and blah, blah, blah. We don't have the whole Hialeah, but trust me, that's changing.
Yeah, I feel that it's gonna change with the younger generation. Maybe there won't be
Yes.
that many efficiencies. People are gonna start following the rules and the laws.
Not only that, but the building department has retained 1 million code enforcement officers, which I don't blame them. They have to. They can't keep up with whatever. That has nothing to do with this project. All I'm saying is that we designed something that I think is spectacular. Yes, it's gonna change the block, the neighborhood, but I think it's a better for the neighborhood. So maybe of the fellow on the right, on the left, who are investors. They have renters there. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas, and whatever the board pleases, I'll discuss. And if we have to table it, we table it. No
No,
big deal. I want
like
to
what-
please
I like what you're doing,
everybody.
But I can't with good conscience vote for rezoning. So whatever the board is gonna vote for, my vote will be what I feel. So, let it fall where it may, you know.
I just want to get a feeling before, I don't want to be turned down because a whole group of people are
Through the
not
chair.
here. So I just want to gotta be
Well,
very careful.
Let me, so Manny, what you can do, it's an option. The extended family living quarters is an option.
Yeah, but they're not in the age. I already asked them.
Isalis, you want to explain?
So for extended family living quarters, you do not have to be 55. and
Oh, you do
older.
not?
No, you just have to be the owner and have a tax exempt.
Correct, but as the design is right now, the staircase are exterior. So
Right.
this is not designed as a single family
Correct.
home.
So
No.
this design
It's the design.
wouldn't qualify as
Yes.
that.
Right,
You would have to
right.
keep the design you currently have,
It would
and
have
then
to-
you would come into the building department for the permit for an extended family living quarter. But that would not be this application.
Okay, gotcha.
But this design will be allowed?
No,
No,
What
No.
changes would need to be made then?
that everything is it's designed as a single family home. Right now, you have two staircases that are completely exterior to the home. So they can be completely accessed from the exterior of the house. So it's designed for a duplex. So you have one private staircase for the unit above, and you have an access below for the unit below.
through the chair.
Just a second. Basically, the entire footprint of the house, be it 1 story or 2 stories, has to be accessible from within. So if you go to
Mhm.
mom's side of the house, if you will, okay, you have a connecting door, a connecting hallway that can go to
Mhm.
the son, the daughter's side of the house.
I get it.
So, but all from within. Now, they can have outside doors, obviously, but it has to be all internally connected. That's why I threw that out there, because, and you kind of like, when you said no, it doesn't qualify, and it's like, and I'm glad that we came to, we saw the light, that the option is there, but obviously not with the present design.
No,
Well, I mean, Mr. Uyo is, that's his opinion. This board, there's still, 4 other
Right.
members of this board who might think that the R2 is appropriate. So I'm not going to say that this is dead in the water.
I just want to make sure that I get a feeling of where we're going with this, because I don't want to get shut down. I rather do a table if it needs to and redesign it. And remember, it's not here, it's here and here. So I'm gonna have a stairs if it comes to that. And then I would be allowed to have a kitchen on the second floor, correct? Being,
Mhm.
Yes,
will?
if you do.
Okay, all right.
tenants
Okay, I just want to
So
make sure.
not a full kitchen.
Mhm.
Not a
It
full
will not
kitchen.
be a full kitchen.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
The hot stove and stuff like
Mhm.
that, but not a full kitchen.
When you say not a full kitchen,
For an extended family living quarter, it's not a full kitchen. If you like, I don't know what's gonna happen right now, but if you are interested in doing an extended family living quarter, you
So-
could come to the office and we could sit
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
with
yeah,
you
yeah,
and
or
the
you
owners
guys can
and we
email me the
decide.
information and that's it.
So Manny, maybe you can get a feel of
Yes,
the
that's
other
what I wanna do.
members before we discuss.
I would like to,
Now,
go ahead, sir.
One question, do the plans show 2 full kitchens? Because for.
Yes, because it's one unit upstairs and one unit down here.
Does the lower unit need a full kitchen or does it need a smaller kitchen?
I
for
would
like
have
a-
to discuss it with ownership, but we want to make it happen for the family.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
whatever the guidelines are out of zoning for whatever living facility or whatever.
Extended family.
I'll make it
Extended family.
happen.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have to either,
I'm not speaking for the rest of the board. They're gonna vote their way, but I'm gonna vote my way. And you could do what you need to do, Manny.
Okay, I
apologize.
can I please get the response
Wait
from
one
the,
second.
yes.
Mr. Jimenez?
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, it just,
No, you need to come up here, introduce yourself, name and address, et cetera, please.
keep.
I'm cultivating my patience.
Good evening. My name is
Okay,
Ana Castillo.
One
I'm
second,
sorry.
please, 1 second. Go ahead, Mr. Jimenez.
Okay.
You've been recognized already.
Thank you very much. I see there's a big structure at 741 East 41st Street, which is across. That's not a duplex. That's a single family home,
It's a single family
but
home,
it's
3 stories, too.
massive.
but it's.
Massive, 3 stories.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Now, my opinion, I could be wrong, but developers come here all the time with projects
Oh, she
and they
is
want,
right.
and we get them approved. I don't see any neighbors here complaining of this structure. There's a similar structure in the front. I understand. I wouldn't want my suegra like within the same building. So I like the idea of separating things to keep the peace.
Man, that's cold.
I'm just being honest. So I understand the 2 kitchens and the families close together, but separate but equal. And I like the idea of thinking, towards the future. Maybe the suegra dies in the future. So then, and people move out of state and they have the duplex. So I'm for it. Yes, I agree with Mr. Ulloa, but Hialeah is not Miami Springs, which is beautiful. R1s all over the place. We have turned Hialeah into R2, 3, 4, 10, and I feel comfortable with it. I feel good approving it, considering it's on 41st Street, it's like a main street. I look at the other properties and I see that they look like they have extra efficiency in the back or whatnot. So I'm okay with it, but I respect Mr. Ojo's opinion.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Ana Castillo, 728 East 41st Street,
Excuse
Hialeah, Florida, 33013. I do want to mention something. We have 2 boys, so we're thinking for the future. So one can live on the top and the little one, just want to mention that because we do have them there, 12 and 15. So just if you're worried,
understand.
we're not trying to sell
No,
the property. It's
I-
our first home.
I totally understand. It has nothing to do personally with your.
No, I understand.
It's the zoning that I'm concerned about. It has nothing to do with the building or anything. The building, every time Manny comes with something in here, it's hard for us to say no. He's amazing. His wife is amazing. It's the zoning area.
Right.
If we give you an R2, then the person next door is gonna come the next day saying, well, I want an R2 also. And then I just feel it's gonna open up a can of worms. I want to try to conserve as many R1s as we can.
Right.
That's just the way I feel about the city, because I feel that if we just give it away, it's just too much. So I do it because I do love the city. I grew up here. I've been living here the majority of my life. I lived on 25th Street. My house, if you go by my house now, it's like a monstrosity what they built there. I don't understand what they built there. And I want to prevent these things. And I understand that everybody wants to do their own thing on their properties and make it, their own. But if we don't conserve our R1s, that's what I feel we're taking away from the city. I'm not the only one that votes here. There's other people that vote here. So you don't have to just, wait for my decision, because
No,
my
it's
decision is just one. And there's
I just
other-
wanted to
other-
mention that because like he said, we're trying to make it right.
Yeah, no, I
Go through you
appreciate it.
guys.
And I do feel for you, but I have to vote the way I feel too.
No,
And
absolutely.
it's nothing personal against
That's
you or
fine.
Manny. It's just what I feel for the city, and that's what I
Okay.
vote for.
And my second concern is that these designs cost money. So I understand they spend money, so having to redesign the whole thing, I think it's difficult for them.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Manny, as a designer, I love the design. I do love the design for the area. I grew up in that area since 1976 to 2014. My concern is the rezoning, the R2, because then it's gonna open a can where eventually somebody's gonna come, say, hey, we have an R2 here already, and we have an event in the future. I know the future is everything's gonna change, but people move on, kids grow, and they're gonna be there, so it gets passed down to those kids. And I believe a lot of these efficiency, they'll weed out in the future. But my concern, like John says, is the R2. It's gonna become, again, this is an awesome design. I cannot, as a designer, but what scares me is that eventually it's gonna keep on encroaching into the actual R1s, where my parents lived in 47th Street since 1976. I know that area. Trust me, I've been through all that area. That's my fear on that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Manny,
Oh, one more thing, sorry.
yes, go ahead.
The violation, it's on a commercial,
Recreational.
is it taken care of already? Okay, yeah, make sure you take care of it.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to agree with John as well, and with Santiago, that the R2s are gonna start encroaching. As somebody who lives in one of these neighborhoods, I would not like a duplex, not necessarily a duplex, but R2 next to me. This family is indicating that they plan to pass this on to the future, but what's to say that somebody comes and offers them a lot of money and that new owner wants to rent it out? And that's my biggest concern. And like they said, every other one will turn into an R2 eventually. And if we're able to stop that now, we can probably conserve some single family homes in the city. So I agree with them. I don't know about the R2. The design is incredible. But the R2 is that's the tough part for me as well.
I have no other choice but to request tabling, because there's 5 of you all up here, and we know what we need to get it approved.
And I'm sure you kind of get a feel for where I'm going. That's why I'm throwing out extended family, because R2 is a little heavy. Okay, so if you request a table to have
Yes.
a better board.
Give me 1 second. Do you understand what they're saying? We're gonna have to table it and then redesign the interior to generate a stairs to the second floor and keep it R1. Because, we still have to go to the first council and second council. So I just want to make sure you understand, and if you agree with it, we'll talk outside and then we'll make arrangements. I have no other choice but to table it, please.
Is that a confidential conversation?
Say what?
Was that a confidential
No,
conversation?
it's just that, it is what it is.
Okay,
And when you
so,
guys are done, at the end, I want to say something that pertaining to what's going on with the rezonings, just to hear from me as an architect.
okay,
So,
Through the chair, before
yes.
you take the vote, I just wanted to mention as part of the record that I understand your concerns. I understand, and I know also the history of Hialeah. I certainly see that this application hasn't been designed for an R2, especially with the pool being accessible for the two units. I just wanted to let you know that is compatible to that area. And this is not a block that it has R1s in its entirety. So just keep that in mind, because it will probably affect. And also I want to mention that if you're going to go that route, that for next meeting, of course, we need to have a different set of plans. If you're going to go to the
We're gonna try to keep the ambience of the design on the outside. On the inside, we have to redesign something. I have to sit down with them again in our office and see how we make it happen. So when you guys are done, after you do whatever you need to do, I want to say something real quick. I don't want to take too much of your time.
Okay,
So what is he tabling? Because we're not going to hear this again. Right,
What do you
Manny?
mean you're not gonna hear it again?
You have an
Anyway,
application for an R2. That
Right.
is the request that has been, that it has been.
Okay.
No,
we're
it
gonna-
hasn't been,
they-
but it's leaning.
No, the legal request, that the
It's-
legal notice that it was
right.
posted is for
It's
an
for
R2.
R2. So if we, if the board tables this, what you're saying is we're just gonna hear this same application
No,
at a
sir.
later date.
No, sir.
So then
Can he withdraw?
so then you would request to
I
withdraw.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm not an attorney. I'm not an attorney.
you're the best one in the room, maybe, Manny.
No.
Oh,
I'm sorry, you're the second best. in
that's
the room.
almost as
Yeah,
bad as the
after
suegra.
you- After you're saying,
I
right?
won't say who's the first. So then if,
Okay, let's go ahead and do whatever we need to do.
Okay.
And let me make a little quick speech at the end.
Then go ahead and from your mouth request a
Okay.
withdrawal.
I'm hereby requesting a withdrawal. And
Okay.
then we'll prep whatever and we'll get together and we'll present to you guys what
We
we're
don't
gonna
have to
do
take any
and,
action.
and hopefully it will be sufficient for everybody.
Okay. All right, so
So the application has been withdrawn as by the request of the applicant.
Yes.
you're gonna go back and dot the i's, cross the t's and.
Oh, I'll let my wife do that. I'm not worried
You
about
know,
that.
I hate to put her through all of that, man.
No, that's okay.
She's-
That's fine. These are, well, all our clients are special. But these are
Special?
very nice people, very nice family.
Yeah.
Anyways, when you guys are done, let me just say a couple of words.
Okay, so no, there's no action. You
There is
requested
no
it. and
action.
there's no
The
action.
application
Okay.
has been withdrawn.
Okay, basically what I want to say, I don't want to go to council with a rejection. I've
Right.
never done it in the 42 years that I've been practicing architecture. So we're going to make it happen. The one thing that I need for you all to understand is that Hialeah is changing. But the majority of the people that are buying certain properties that are big are investors. And they're not spending too much money and they're putting in 1 million units inside the big homes that surround this property. I guarantee you because I've seen it. So as an architect, I'm telling you that things are changing. We're not going to be the first ones here coming for an R2, sir. It's going to change. And it will, at the end, it will be more beneficial for the city to have a conjunction of closer to where we're at on 8th or whatever, duplexes that make things legal. It has nothing to do with anybody on the board. All I'm saying is as an architect, I understand certain guidelines and things that are beneficial for the city because we follow the code 100%. All we're requesting is something that if the board doesn't agree with it, then we have to go to Plan B. But I am sure that a lot of places similar to these places are going to change legally through rezoning or 4 or 5 units inside a house or 6 units. I mean,
I understand
That's
what
my
understand what
opinion.
you're saying, and I apologize.
no, you don't have to
Because
apologize.
I'm just saying what I feel and what I would like to see happen with the city. I understand that you're doing a duplex, but when we open up on R2, it's not just gonna be duplex, it's gonna be quadruplexes, which is the majority of the houses that are being built right now on Lejeune Road. Quadruplexes, and they're everywhere, and they're popping up everywhere, these quadruplexes. I don't like them. 1-bedroom quadruplexes for people who aren't laying down their roots here. I understand that they're a family, they're gonna lay down their roots here, and they're gonna stay in the city, and they're gonna care about the city. I appreciate that. But a lot of people that are living in these 1-bedroom quadruplexes, not that they're transient, but they're not gonna lay down their roots in a 1-bedroom apartment. They're gonna stay here temporarily. They're gonna find someplace else to move to that's gonna be more comfortable for them or their future family, and they're gonna leave. And then somebody else is gonna come in there, and then somebody else, and it's just gonna be a turnaround. These 1-bedroom apartments, these 1 or 2-bedroom apartments, they're just like hotels almost for me, because not everybody that comes to stay there. If you're coming to Hialeah and you're gonna buy a house, you're gonna lay down your roots. I spent my money on a house, and I bought a house in Hialeah, and I spent a lot of money on my taxes here and everything. And I feel that if we keep putting it into quadruplexes and duplexes and multiplexes, it's just gonna be an urban city, which that's not really what I wanna live in. I don't wanna live in an urban city. I wanna live in a nice suburb.
Maybe something that needs to happen zoning wise is for changes to happen based on the areas and give a blessing to something similar to this, not contrary to what you're saying, but then we can follow that specific code because unfortunately or fortunately, things are changing.
Yeah, things
I
are
can't-
changing, but I wanna protect the little R1s that are left, because hasta cuando, we're gonna get rid of all of them.
With all due respect to
Yeah.
you, John, I would rather have a duplex rather than have four
okay,
units or
me-
6 units here or
Me
4
too.
units illegally.
I don't mind a duplex, but this is not where Hialeah is going. Hialeah is not going with duplexes. Hialeah is going with quadruplexes.
Or more,
Hialeah
or more.
is going with sixplexes on
Yeah.
a one house a lot. Because I've seen it. I've
But
seen
that
it.
is,
I've
that
seen
is
it
something
done.
that zoning needs to, in my
I-
opinion,
I've seen it done on
architect
a
zoning needs to
strip, on a
address.
Strip, 6 apartments, and they approved it.
Well-
So what are you gonna do? And we're gonna do the same thing constantly over and over again, and we're gonna get rid of all our R1s, and this is gonna just turn into an urban city.
But the main thing I want the
And
board to
like I
under,
said, it's nothing against you. I love what you and your wife do, and I have the utmost respect for you, sir.
I
But I just want to
understand.
do what I think is best for my city and for everybody else who lives here.
Okay, but the way I see it, John, is I think zoning, and I won't take any more of your time. Zoning needs to keep up with the changes that are happening so we don't run into these kind of issues.
Okay, Manny.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you, Manny.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, we didn't close the door on you, man. The door's still,
Yeah.
the door's still there. I mean, there's still,
Oh, it's an awesome
is
design.
that a promise or a warning? Thank-
Item number 4. Special use permit to allow a partial retrofit of an existing motel to operate as a mixed-use development project with a maximum of 31 residential units in conjunction with the existing 48 motel units, and to allow residential use within the M1 Industrial District zoning district. Allowed 102 parking spaces where 146 parking spaces are required. Property is located at 1775 West Okeechobee Road, Hialeah, zoned M1 Industrial District. Applicant Alejandro Arias, Esquire, on behalf of CW Hialeah LLC.
Did you swear in?
I did not. I need
You
to
did
swear.
not.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth before this board?
I do.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Good evening, Alejandro Arias, 71 Brickell Avenue.
This property is located with frontage on Okeechobee Road to the west, West 18th Street to the north, and West 17th Street to the south. The lot encompasses approximately 1.9 acres and is designated for industrial land use with a compatible M1 zoning district. Until 2003, the property was developed with warehouses, which were subsequently demolished in 2005. The site, in 2005, the site was redesigned and permitted by local architectural firm Salazar and Associates for use of a hotel motel prepared for Crossway Airport Hotel, Inc. In 2008, the building received occupancy approval for a 93-unit motel featuring 27 enclosed garages. The two-story structure includes approximately 65,352 square feet of living space, according to Miami-Dade County property appraisal records. City records indicates that the motel provides for a total of 111 parking spaces, including accessible handicap spaces. The site also included abandoned on-site landscaping and street trees. Additionally, 6 of the second-floor motel units were developed as a loft-style, 2-story motel units. This application seeks a special use permit, SUP, to allow the conversion of a portion of an existing motel into residential use. Residential uses are not permitted by right within the M1 zoning district, as outlined in section 98-1371B. The majority of the area proposed for conversion consists of an enclosed garages, which will be retrofitted to accommodate up to 31 residential units, while maintaining 84 motel rooms. The residential retrofit offers flexibility and opportunity to introduce an additional housing option to the community. Furthermore, the interior layout of the existing structure appears to support a smooth transition to residential use, provided that all 31 units meet applicable safety codes and minimum housing standards. As mentioned, the 2005 parking counts was 111 and 110 were the parking spaces required. However, 27 were the enclosed garages. Since all the garages are being converted, the property ends with 84 parking spaces. Therefore, the applicant has submitted plans reflected a revised site plan to accommodate 102 parking spaces. However, according to today's parking regulations, the proposed site will require 146 parking spaces. This requirement is to satisfy 1 parking space per motel room and 2 parking spaces per residential unit. All the proposed residential units are 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. However, the unit varies in size from 310 square feet to 893 square feet. where only 4 units are 700 square feet or more. Current zoning regulation permits the reduction of parking requirement for smaller residential units, but in this case, since this is a retrofit of an existing and active use, the project is not presented to be analyzed according to a completely different set of zoning regulations where residential is the main use instead of an ancillary component. So a parking reduction may be considered for approval if priority is given to meeting the parking demand for the residential units when necessary. Since the property will continue operating as a motel, the following conditions are stipulated. Enter into a declaration of restriction to permit 31 residential units and 84 motel rooms where section 18-613 of the city code continues to apply to the site with certain exemptions to the 31 residential units. Residential parking demand is to receive priority over the motel use by marking 31 parking spaces to at least grant 1 parking space per residential unit, require a landscaping recertification before the end of year 2025, and the site is to be retrofitted according to the plan signed by Alberto O. Gonzalez, Architect PA, dated March 21, 2025, and the site plan would mark 31 parking spaces as required. Staff recommendations recommends approval with conditions.
Thank you. Salazar and Associates. Are they still on the Hialeah Drive and
Yes, they are.
something like that?
Yes, they are.
They've been there a while.
Yes.
You have the floor.
Good evening, board members. Alejandro Arias, offices at 701 Brickell Avenue. I'm joined tonight by my colleagues Erica Adams and Hugo Arza, and we're grateful for the opportunity to be before you this evening for a project that is transitional and reflects an adaptive reuse of an existing structure. Next slide. The subject property is nearly 2 acres in size and fronts on Okeechobee Road between West 17th Street and West 19th Street. Next slide. It's the site of the existing Casanovas or Crossway Motel. The name has changed a couple of times, so it depends on what website you look at. But this is ultimately a 3-story, 93-unit motel that features 27 enclosed garages. As stated in the staff recommendation, it was developed in 2008. Next slide. The motel use is located in a pocket of the city that's primarily developed with industrial warehouses near Okeechobee Road, a major city corridor. The site is also within close proximity of the Okeechobee Transit Station and numerous mass transit bus stops within the area. Next slide. The property has a land use designation of industrial and is zoned M1 industrial, a use that allows for the current motel use on the property. Next slide. As such, we're here tonight with staff favorable recommendation as it relates to a proposal to adaptively reuse and convert the existing enclosed garages and to accommodate for 31 residential units. 84 motel rooms will be maintained as part of this development proposal, but the 27 garages will be converted. Next slide. In order to accomplish this adaptive reuse and conversion, the applicant will require 2 things. A variance to allow residential uses within the M1 zoning district. So while the motel is allowed, residential uses are not. And secondly, a minor non-use variance to allow 102 parking spaces where 146 parking spaces would be required based on this new mix that we're introducing. The strategic location of the site will allow many residents to transport to and from work without the need of a car, as again, it's located within mass transit stops within walking distance. In connection with the proposed development program, it is again a repurposing of the existing structure to develop a mixed-use component and development consisting of 31 multifamily units and 84 motel units within the existing envelope of the building. As previously mentioned, the property is currently improved with 93 motel units and 27 garage spaces. As part of this, 9 motel units will also be reconverted. The project will also feature an enhancement to the landscape perimeter and vehicular ingress and egress on West 18th Street and West Okeechobee Road, as well as the inclusion of amenity enhancements to the area, including a dog park, domino park, and pedestrian connectivity access points. Next slide. These next slides are a visual representation of the proposed conversion, the gray shading reflecting the motel units that are to remain, and the white shading identifying the residential unit retrofit areas. This is the ground floor plan, the second floor plan, and this third floor plan, which those reflect the two-story loft units. As stated, the proposed residential units will be 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom units varying in size up to 893 square feet. This will provide diversity of unit configurations, including those 6 loft-style units. By repurposing underutilized spaces, this program efficiently increases the housing supply without the need for extensive new construction along Okeechobee. Next slide. With respect to parking, 102 parking spaces will be provided on site, as well as off-street parking spaces surrounding the property. There's 14 off-site spaces, so that's totaling 117 spaces available. As referenced, the current zoning regulations would allow for reductions of parking requirements for smaller units. However, as this is not a new build, it's an adaptive repurposing of a building, we're beholden to the current code provisions, and that requires the residential uses be treated as the main use rather than an ancillary component of the project. So this is an instance of form over function. If we were building a brand new building and based on the unit sizes, we would require less. But because we are adaptively repurposing an existing building, we're beholden to the current regulations of the code. So functionally, each residential unit will have allocated parking spaces for that particular unit, with the remainder of the on-site and off-site parking spaces to be utilized in a shared format between the residential units and the motel use. As the motel use is transient in nature, there are numerous opportunities for shared parking on the site. Building management has identified that typically there's 40 to 50 open spaces and unused spaces daily on the property. And that's without taking into account the 14 off-street parking spaces that are situated around the perimeter of the property. Again, the property's proximity to rapid transit will also help to provide convenient and efficient commutes and access to public transportation options. Next slide. Ultimately, this proposal not only maximizes the use of existing infrastructure, it repurposes a use that in the past had, nefarious undertones to it with the enclosed garages. It's now increasing the housing stock and the city's goals of sustainable development and community revitalization. Next slide. Again, given the current state of housing supply, the transformation of the existing garages and the motel units for rent is a highly desirable initiative of the city, as this project will contribute to addressing the city's pressing need for diverse housing options. Next slide. This project will be spearheaded by Prestige Companies, a homegrown developer who will bring their development and managerial expertise in providing essential housing for the city's residents and its working class. Next slide. And which is more, this project will serve to improve this area and transform a longstanding stigma of motel uses by transforming the enclosed garages into reasonable quality housing options, and will contribute to the city's economic prosperity and viability. We thank you for your time and are here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Any comments or questions from the board?
To the chair,
Yes.
is this motel still an hourly motel?
In fact, it started as an hourly motel. As we see now with the high housing crisis, it's almost become an extended stay. So there's an organization, a nonprofit called Hermanos de la Calle. They rent a number of rooms. They really deal with homelessness and displaced persons. So they rent long-term type of rentals within the motel. So what we've seen based on the crisis is that this went from an hourly use back in the day to now people living there for weeks on end.
Okay, and the motel rooms and the apartments, the proposed apartments are going to be right next to each other, or is it in a separate wing?
They're next to each other. Really, the garages used to be a use for the units themselves, where people would come park and you couldn't see the car.
Mhm.
They're going to transform those garages and those will become new units. So they'll be abutting the existing motel units.
What is the safety? Because, the neighbor of that motel is is interesting. And then the reputation of all the motels there. So do we know how many times cops have gone there, or, do we know? what the
We have that
safety's like?
information. This motel traded hands. Prestige companies bought this 2 or 3 years ago, really cleaned up the operations of the motel. So, there's a number of checks that go into even the motel use. Rental, clearly, they have their processes and their management expertise. So they'll require the deposits and the background checks and all of that information. But even on the motel standpoint, they have cleaned it up significantly. We can certainly provide that information to the city as well so that they can get an understanding of, 3 years ago to today. But again, I think that use from being an hourly motel has really shifted over the past years, and on the way that they manage their properties to almost become more of a residential extended use.
Okay, I just worry for the safety of the long-term residents with what we already know those motels are like. So,
Yeah,
if you
and
could provide
it's-
that at least to council, so, it's more comforting for us to make a good vote. I agree, we do need housing. I would not like to see people sleeping on the streets in their cars or none of that. But it's unconventional.
Yeah, and I
I'll
think that
say
was part of the
that.
mission for them was when they purchased it, they wanted to clean it up,
Mhm.
clean up the reputation, to make it safe and have that reputation of being somewhere that you can live
Right.
safely, to then come forward with this application. Because if you're going to rent there, you're not going to want to rent there, with hourly motel uses going on everywhere.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I don't understand why didn't they just turn it all into an apartment building? That would have been way, I was really excited about the project when I heard you were gonna turn it into apartment building, but after I see that you're gonna continue the hotel or motel thing, it did really turn me off. I service a lot of these hotels and motels. I work for Ecolab. I do their laundry, I do their warewashing. I go to restaurants, Ecolab. I go into a lot of these hotels. I see the environment that's there. I don't see that as a family environment. I see that as an environment where there's a lot of times criminals staying in these hourly motels. There's a lot of issues there, prostitution. I see it. I see it all the time. I walk into these hotels, I sell them soap. So I on a daily basis. I don't feel that, like Ms. Enriquez said, I feel that there is a safety issue with having the hotel motel part with the apartments. This is something that is going to, I just see this as making something that's bad now, making it worse. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I would have been on board with this if it would have been a total, apartment, because I would like to see the majorities, even though I sell them soap and make money off it, because I make commission. I would love to see the majority of these hotels go away and clean up Okeechobee Road and make our city even safer. But putting an apartment building in a place where it's an hourly motel or whatever, or extended stay motel, however you're saying right now, where they're going to change it to. But I still feel that they're still going to use the hourly rate because that's where their bread and butter's at. They're going to make a lot more money on hourly rate. It's not going to change. That environment is not a safe environment for anybody to actually live there. If you're going to move into a place with an apartment building and you're going to have a motel that's hourly right next door to you, because it's right on the other side of the wall. There's shootings, there's crimes, there's drug use, there's needles, syringes. I see it all the time. I don't understand why not just turn the whole thing into an apartment.
I don't disagree with you that is exactly the reputation that hourly motels have,
Mhm.
which is exactly why this owner, which is a multifamily developer, purchased it years ago, cleaned it up. And again, that use has gone from a nefarious hourly motel to now a use that is an extended stay. One of the rationales for not being able to do it all at one time, you can see right here, the parking variance that would be required just for the residential uses. And there is a significant need, again, for people to have smaller footprints. They don't necessarily need the kitchens. So they are using those units as extended stay, not this hourly nefarious use. That exactly is the reputation of these motels. And this is the transitional program to fix that reputation in the city. And again,
But you're putting.
you may
people-
service a number of them, but I don't know if you service this one.
No, I don't.
This
That's what
one
I
in
know.
particular, you
But-
can't
but-
say that all of them are the same.
But
And-
I have been there on sales calls and I have not serviced it by myself with an associate. So I've seen this one, the ones on, regardless of which hotels I've been to.
They're not all the same.
You know,
but-
Princess Motel I've been to, I've serviced them because we do the laundry equipment. for them.
And again, I agree that those hourly motels, that is the business model, and that is not the business model here. It hasn't been, and it's not the intent. This is transitional in nature, and the first step in the conversion to fixing what is enclosed garages, which that leads to those uses that you're talking about, into actual residential uses that are needed in the city.
Yeah. And there's no way they could do the whole apartment thing at one shot.
Not at one shot, no, because there's a significant need for other types of diverse units. You know, everyone can't just afford a one-bedroom unit with a kitchen. Some people can only afford the units that are available now.
So the units that are gonna be built now as apartments, they're not gonna have kitchens, or they are?
They are.
They're gonna have kitchens.
I can see, and I'm gonna go out there on a limb. I can see a hotel, not necessarily a motel, but I can see a hotel type of business. I can see a residential type of business. I have a hard time mixing them both together under the same roof.
Yeah, me too.
I would rather see either or, but not both. I mean, I'm having flashbacks of many years ago, the south side of Okeechobee with all those little rinkety old structures sitting on stilts.
Mhm.
If you're
I remember those.
you're old enough to remember
I
those.
remember one guy came out and threw somebody's head at the cops too, remember? that one?
Yes, I'm not saying that your property is going to become something like that, but I don't know. I'm having a difficult time with having.
I mean, I would just lead you to think about the alternative of what this is today. You have exactly that type of motel use.
Yeah,
And
but
it's what it was being used as in the past prior to this owner with enclosed garages. And now you have someone that's coming in here and saying, we want to take away those enclosed garages, which lead to those very discrete nefarious uses, to try to improve this and change this ultimately from a motel hourly use to a residential use right on Okeechobee. But in order to do that, you need to clean up the image and change the thought process of this property from something that was an hourly motel, which they've been able to do over the past 3 years, and now it's more of an extended stay hotel, to now something that's much more multifamily residential in nature with different types of housing units. So think about this as step one in order to do that. But if this doesn't go through, what are you left with? The exact motel use that, you know, we're all complaining about, which is the one with a garage and an hourly use.
I mean, you keep saying multifamily, and it's one bedroom apartments. There's very few families gonna be fitting into, let's say everybody goes into one bedroom. I don't see that as a family thing.
A man and a wife is a family.
A man and wife, okay, yeah, just one unit, no children, no nothing. I still fear
Maybe
for
it's
the
Toyota.
safety of a lot of the people staying in a unit where the motel is right next door to it, right on the other side of the wall, and motels that there's shootings at, killings at. There's a lot of things that have happened.
Again, the alternative under that logic would be
Yeah.
to just leave this as a
So
motel
how long?
and
how
leave it
long
there.
will
And
How will he eventually transition the whole place into a?
that is the intent, is
That
to
is the intent.
transition this to a traditional multifamily.
But now the units that he has that don't have the garage, because you're saying that.
None will have the garage.
All of them have garage?
There's 27 garages.
And how many units don't have garage?
There will be 84 units in total that are motel units, and then the 31 that are the multifamily. None will have garages.
None will have garage?
No.
So there will be no more garages, so there's
We're eliminating the garages.
no liability of somebody leaving their car on that, like it happened one time on Okeechobee Road. And a whole couple of kids died in the garage also. That's
Exactly. Or
concerning to
drug
me.
deals going down
Exactly.
with people parking in garages, you know,
Yeah.
that threat will be gone.
Yeah,
Through the
I
chair.
would like to see the whole thing into a apartment building.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
So it's apartment and hotel mixed.
Correct.
Okay, this is, if it were the apartments, I don't have a problem with it. This is one thing that in Hialeah Heights, we're trying to stop like Airbnbs or communities, they don't allow them. Why? Because anybody could come in, cause a crime, write out into their country and we can't follow. That's one of the safety things that I'm gonna tell you right now, if it's full apartments, I don't have a problem.
Yeah, same here.
I don't. Like, I will be the first yes here, but I can't mix motels with families with there. Like, this is my opinion,
No,
you know, I mean.
and I'm hearing you loud and clear. So let me propose this to you all. I know that safety is clearly an issue, the Airbnb issue. So let me go back to my client. Let me get some safety information for them. Let me get some information for you as to the background checks that they do, even for the motel use, to make sure, you know, they have the proper identification and everything to prevent exactly what you're saying.
But through the chair, I had an issue now that you could look it up. And we had an issue with a lady where this is fraud. I know this is totally different, where she went through background checks, but it's like, how, like a motel, how are you gonna, like, that's my question. How are you gonna find that?
I understand, but it's a motel use today. So
Yeah, but it could be apartments. It's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you convert it to all apartments, I don't have a problem with that. I don't. I'm the first one. Yes, I cannot have a motel mixed with, like, I don't want my wife around somebody renting a motel. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be straight to the point.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
maybe we could solve this by giving
Why don't-
first priority to police so that police officers could.
that would be ideal.
Yeah, right.
That would
So everybody's happy.
We always welcome that.
Other criminals will stay away.
And a suegra, we can put the suegra
Through the
there.
chair. Through the
There you
chair.
go.
Yeah.
Would you wanna table it or
But I will table
Let
it.
us-
I'll take it back to the client
please?
and we'll see what we can.
Through the chair, before we
Yeah.
take the vote, something that it hasn't been discussed, but I understand all your concerns, okay? And that's why in the staff report, it's also included the section of the code that is outside the zoning section, that it refers to what are the parameters that they need to be in place for safety. Actually, hourly rentals are prohibited for anything less than 3 hours. So if one condition is that they can impose for higher than that also, they are required to have cameras, enclosed like circuits, security cameras everywhere. They are required to have check-ins and check-out procedures and logs. So I will advise you to also look what is in place also in the code. And if you want to go beyond that, probably you want to recommend that. The other component that also hasn't been talked about it, and in our agenda tonight, we have our housing element for the comprehensive plan included, okay? And we have been discussing since I started over here, since 2024, all the issues with affordability. I know that you mentioned it in your opening statement. In Hialeah, we have a 2% of rental vacancy. That is how good, okay, rentals are for a landlord perspective. But in the other hand, that is demand that is not being met. We don't have enough housing. And unfortunately, I understand that this is not the best place to place a family. But unfortunately, for many people that are struggling to, pay their bills, probably there will be an entrance point for have a secure roof over their heads. So also as a consideration, think about if you can actually limit these residential units to a certain AMI. So basically, it's going to be for affordable housing people. So we are secure that we are helping actually people that they're having issues with affordability. So just for you to think about it.
And to that point, that's exactly what the motel units are being used for, right? Except even if you limit it to the AMI, those people are usually having to rent for months on end. These are usually renting 2-3 weeks at a time, which doesn't require, the financial burden that even an affordable housing unit would have. So
I understand, but also it will be nice for the board to review that you're proposing that at hand and you're coming forward with a number that they will be probably more open to accept.
Through the chair.
Even then, piggybacking on your last comment, one second. I'll recognize you in a second. You claim that some of the tenants there are like 2-3 weeks at a time?
correct.
Okay. See, that throws a curveball to me. Throws a monkey wrench in the soup. I would like to see residential, long-term rentals. as far as a motel is concerned, on a monthly basis, maybe. Okay, but as far as an hourly motel, how can you demand background checks on an hourly motel? Yeah, it's.
So I would recommend that everybody review the ordinance that Claudia referenced. It's hotels and motels. And not to say what Mr. Yoa said at one point in our city's history was true, but a lot of that has changed. Okay. The city passed an ordinance called hotels and motels, and it requires very stringent background checks being taken on everybody that comes in. It requires ID. It requires a minimum time of rental. It requires the different of the keys. Now the keys need to be automated instead of physical keys, so that everybody has a copy. They've required CCTV. So in the past 3 years, the city has gone through extensive procedures to make hotels safer. And what Mr. Yoa said at one point was true of these motels, and I'm not saying they're perfect, but we have come a long way in making them much safer than they once were.
The only difference that I've seen is that they've raised it to 3 hours.
That's
Is what the thing. And I'm telling you right now, the people who would come for 1 hour are still gonna pay for the 3 hours to be there. So they don't care about whether they stay there 1 hour or 3 hours. They're gonna come in and they're gonna come out and they're gonna do what they gotta do.
When-
And they're gonna do their nefarious acts, they're gonna do everything else. And we're gonna put families in apartment buildings with those people coming in and out of the building and apartment complexes. I understand what you're saying, and I respect your ideas and bringing in 1-bedroom units and for low income and everything. But I feel that all this low income is just gonna bring down our property values, my home values and everything. You live close by there. You don't want that by your house. I don't want that by my house. That's just gonna make things more transient than what it already is. Because you're gonna have 1-bedroom apartments with people that are, like you said, low income, and they're gonna live in an area that's low income. And it's gonna turn into a low income area, and it's going to bring everything down. I cannot get behind this. I apologize. I'm sure that if you turn it into a nice apartment complex, it'd be great for everybody else. But the way it stands right now, I cannot get behind it. I can't speak for the rest of my councilmen.
I understand. I will say this, you have a housing crisis in your city and low-income people also need housing.
I
So
feel
that
the
just,
housing
that doesn't
cri- I
mean
feel
that
the
just
housing
because it's gonna
crisis
lower your
is
property
built up
values, they don't
more than
deserve
what it
housing
is.
either.
I feel that the housing crisis has been exaggerated, and I
Okay.
feel that the housing crisis is gonna go down. Now that's what's happening with a lot of people that aren't going to be staying here any longer with what the president is doing right now. I'm not totally for it, but I understand what's happening. There's gonna be less people that are gonna be here illegally, that are gonna be looking for those 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments that are gonna be transient. I don't wanna bring down our property values, and something that like this, for me, is gonna bring down property value around the area. I don't have a problem with the apartment that they built next to Metro Rail Station on Okeechobee Road. But this one, I can't get behind it because there's a safety issue and there's other issues that I do not like.
This is right by that
Okay.
Metro Rail
All
system.
right, one thing that we need to kind of like be mindful about, the income status of the individuals. We need to be sensitive
Through the
about that. I need to recognize her real quick. I just confer with the legal department here because I had a question about that ordinance that has a minimum time of stay per unit, if you will, and 3 hours.
Look, at the end of the day, I respect all of your opinions. I understand where all of you are coming from. I'll table this item.
Yeah.
I'll go back, see what we can do. But I've heard you loud and clear. I mean,
Let's.
and you all have very
let's-
valid points.
Let's recognize,
I don't want to be redundant, but I agree, Claudia, that we do have a housing crisis. We do need affordable housing. Hialeah in general is a lower income community. So we do need affordable housing. And we do have apartments going up we're going to have a lot of apartments once Metro Park, for example, is ready. They're not going to be as affordable. So I understand that need, but we also have to think of their safety. So if there's any guarantee that they're going to be safe there, even if it's a motel and an apartment, then I would feel more comfortable voting for this. But even if you are low income, you need to be safe. So if you could come back with something that, that makes me more comfortable voting for this, then I would be more, I guess I would agree more, but right now I can't.
thank you,
I
Ms.
understand
Enrique.
your points.
Jimenez?
Yes, I I like the idea of moving towards changing this. And this seems like experimental. And I like to give it a chance to see how it would go. I mean, I don't see motels as like dangerous that you have to be carrying a weapon or something. I feel like it's more if you're gonna commit a crime or something, you want to get in there, nobody see you, and then get out. So if there's people living there permanently, so I think that would actually deter criminals from actually wanting to do whatever they're gonna do there, because there's gonna be people watching. And I don't like the idea of a nanny state that we gotta like protect everybody. I mean, I think people should have their own choice. If I see a motel and I have kids, unless, you know, I'm really broke, I'll go somewhere else. But if I'm by myself, I'm single, I work in a restaurant or something, I just need a place to sleep. I don't care if there's
Gotta
transients or
be
whoever
be
it is.
sensitive to the financial status.
I don't know what that
Okay.
means.
One
Uh,
question. Thank you. One question. In the best of your opinion, or your knowledge, or whatever how long would you say tentatively that the plan is, assuming that this goes through and you're approved and you get a green light from the council and everything, from the day of inception to converting the hotel, motel portion to residential? Because you said that if I'm quoting you, you mentioned a little while ago that the goal would be to make it all residential, but during the transition period. Okay, that's my question. How long do you think the transition period would be?
I can't give you that answer right now. I need to confer with my clients. But again, when I say the conversion to residential,
Mm,
right, is to turn this from something that was once contemplated as an hourly motel to something that is your standard multifamily monthly program. So that is something that by the next hearing, I will have some information for
would you then, is it safe to assume that you would rather ask for a tape for a continuance and then bring it back next week with better,
Yes.
If we could- I would
better
appreciate
information
it.
for us?
I could get behind it with a timeline. Honestly, if there's gonna be a full conversion and we'd have an actual timeline, I could get behind it
Yeah.
that way, knowing that this is a momentary thing and that we're gonna change the whole thing into an actual apartment complex, then yeah, I could get probably behind this.
I can almost assure you that I will make it a point to check with zoning and possibly even legal department and follow up on that, the meat and potatoes of that ordinance to see what enlighten me, if you will. Okay. Right. So if I can have, so I can.
I'll send it to the whole board.
Oh, good.
I'll send the ordinance to the whole
Oh,
board.
via email?
Mhm.
Cool. That's,
Yeah. And on my end, I'll work with my client to see from a managerial standpoint, what it is that they do, to provide safety measures. and-
Thank you. I wasn't trying to be hard or anything.
No, I
But I
understand
do
your
want,
point.
like I said before, I want what's best for the city. And I totally respect you and I appreciate what you're bringing to the table. And I see the vision in this. And if you give us a great timeline, that's, hey, this is what's gonna happen in the future. We're changing this and it's gonna happen in such and such time. Then that'd be a lot more exciting for us, especially for me.
Understood. I'll bring forward that information and
Thank you.
thank you. Where have you been keeping him lately? Yeah.
So,
been all over the place.
so we need
Okay, so you're asking for a deferral
If we can please table this
Till-
item so that I can
till-
come back to you with some
till
more
next
information.
meeting?
Until when, Alex?
Until the next meeting.
next meeting? Okay.
Motion to table.
Second?
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Santiesteban, second by Mrs. Enriquez. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
yes.
Mr. Santiesteban,
Yes.
Mr. Perez.
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez.
Yes.
Item has been tabled until May 14th, 2025.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
I'll
for-
see you in
thank you,
2
Alex.
weeks. Thank you.
Don't be a stranger now. Aye.
Item number 5, the applicant has requested to table the item until May 14th, 2025. Let me read the address into
You-
the record.
Gonna pass.
The address of the item is 901 East Second Avenue and 925 East Second Avenue. Applicant Edna Morales Rodriguez as general partner of the Rodriguez Family LLP and Enrique Rodriguez.
Okay,
I'm gonna need a
So-
motion.
No, we
No,
don't-
Oh, no?
no, no.
So no action
No
for
action.
And this one too.
item number 5. Item number 6, resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Hialeah, Florida, expressing its intent to approve and adopt text amendments to the housing element of the city of Hialeah, Florida, comprehensive plan, and providing for an effective date.
Through the chair.
Yes.
So this is an item, this ordinance, basically, it's going to be amending the housing element of the comprehensive plan. Since we have been working for a year already, modifying our zoning regulations such as the NBD and the creating the workforce affordable housing section, and also modifying our future land use. Basically, this package has two components. Now, one that is called the data inventory and analysis that I will suggest you also for you to read it and figure it out if we are meeting actually our housing needs, if we are set for the future with all the modifications to regulations that we are doing. It is a comparison also with the county. We are, as you mentioned, we are a more affordable location, but we are losing that status. You can see it through the years that actually our housing prices are getting expensive and expensive as years move on. So this will provide you basically, and also the programs that they have in place, but the majority of our programs are federally funded. So right now, we don't know what happened with that. So it gives you a different perspective and also provide you a better perspective of how the housing is going in the city. And the second part of it is basically our goals and policies and objectives for this element, that it will basically set us in the future where we need to be with housing elements and provide flexibility, inclusivity for other programs, so we can have more options for the public and for our current residents and future residents for it. So, and the procedure is basically, if you pass this resolution, we'll take it to council and then we'll send it to the state for their review and for their comments.
okay.
So
Comments or questions?
Is there like a resolution physical that we could read it? Like,
the resolution basically is just a transmittal. The document itself also we can send you. There are 50 pages and plus of of information. Yes, definitely. No, definitely. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
But this is basically for transmittal. All this is just to transmit it to the state for their review. We'll have also, hopefully not many, but we'll have comments actually to address them. So different agencies, they have to review it also. It's not just the state, but the county reviews it, FDOT, and other agencies as well.
And I don't understand very much what this is for affordable housing, correct?
No. This is the housing element within your comprehensive plan. Remember, the comprehensive plan has different chapters.
Yes.
Each chapter has a name. We have the future land use map, we have the future land use element, we have the housing, we have the transportation, the open space and everything. This one is addressing just the housing element,
Do we have to approve something?
just a resolution so we can transmit it.
Okay.
All right.
Motion to approve?
second?
Okay, so we have a motion by Mrs. Enriquez, second by Mr. Santiago. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Santiago.
Yes.
Item has been approved.
Thank you.
At least we approved something today.
Thank you.
Miscellaneous item requiring advertising. Item number 7, old business. Okay, no old business. Item number 8, new business.
No, I'd like to say something. I don't want to be always a guy that says no, because apparently it seems that way. I'm always the guy who says no. But I really do it because I care. Okay, and I don't, yeah, and I understand that you said that something that I said about the low income and everything. I don't want I've invested into the city. He's invested into the city. You're invested into the city. You're invested into the city. You're invested.
I have no choice.
We bought houses here. We want to keep our standards a little bit high. If we lower our standards and just keep everything away, then we're not taking care of our city. And I feel that if we raise our standards just a little bit more, I understand people need affordable housing and everything else. But we gotta keep our standards a little bit higher, I feel. I don't feel that we should sell out our city so in such a low budget way. I wanna keep our city a little bit cleaner. I wanna keep our city a little bit safer. I wanna keep our city a little bit nicer. That's what I want for our city. I understand that it's great to have all these apartments to bring taxes in and everything else. But we have to look at our infrastructure. We don't have enough police officers. We're not gonna have enough firemen. Where our traffic is getting worse and worse by the day. And that's because we keep adding apartments and we keep adding multiple homes, duplexes, quadruplexes. You know, it's all great and the taxes is great for the city and everything. But how about for us as residents and us that are actually invested into a city? Because I'm invested, you're invested, we're all invested into the city. And we want what's best for the city. That's why we invested into it. Not because we want to throw our money away and let the city go bad and eventually it becomes a suburb, an urban area where everybody's a rental. And then the people who are invested in it leave. Because I'll leave, you'll leave, because you don't want to live in a city that is transient. That's the way I feel. And this is why I vote no on these apartments and everything. I want to invest in our city. I want to invest in our people and the people that live in the city. And I want what's best for them. And I want a safe city that's going to be taken care of by us, and the police officers, the firemen, and we got to take care of them in every way, shape, and form. I understand everybody needs housing, but let's not try to mix so many people in one area. Our city is only so big and our infrastructure is only so big. So this is why I always say no. And I feel like I'm the one who's always getting against things. I just really want what's best. And when I see something that is a little bit too much, I think I gotta say something. So I apologize if I make everything a little bit harder.
No, actually, a lot of times when you put your foot down and you say no, you express your opinion. It kind of like, hey, it opens our, it opens our minds a little bit more. But I think tonight we were all pretty much with you.
Thank you.
I mean,
about the hotels, I work into these hotels.
Yeah.
I walk into them, I see what's in there. And I can tell you, you don't want to walk into that hotel. You don't want to walk into that motel. You don't want to walk into that motel. I see what's in there. I guarantee you, you wouldn't.
What about me?
You'll be okay.
Mira, I'm gonna tell you, affordable housing, we need it. It's my thing. My concern is safety.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
The
how much
safety is
of housing do we need?
The safety is my,
Unfortunately, that is something that I can tell you that we need plenty. Okay. And I heard over the last 10 years, probably before an efficiency, you used to pay $800, $900 for an efficiency
500
that they are illegal. Okay, just keep that in mind. But that is what's the typing of affordability that we had. Unfortunately, for that same efficiency, they're charging $1,500, $2,000. So what happened is it's unfortunately, but the system how it used to work, it's not longer there, and that it has created a huge void.
I think
into
it's
the
a mix
system.
of a hotel with an apartment.
Yeah,
no, I
Because
can't,
I'm
I
gonna
can't
tell you
do
right
that.
now, I'm gonna be honest right here.
I can't do-
We live in an area, what is new to Hialeah, where we have HOAs. And to do a background check, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a mission. And then for like a couple hours or whatever days, it costs money to do a background check on a person. An ID is not gonna tell you the person's a criminal. A passport is not gonna tell you. My concern is like an example, in Aragon, we don't allow Airbnbs because we have people from all over the world. They come here, they get a child, something happens, they leave out of the country. How do we get that person out of this, that leaves out of this country, on an Airbnb? So we ban them as an HOA, not allowed. Even in your community, it's not allowed. And in Bonterra, it's not allowed because of that, because of the safety. My thing is, you can't mix that. If it's next door, there's a wall, I'm for it. I'm not against the apartment. I want that affordable, we have to cater, we have a crisis, we do, we have it. I have the cleaning lady in my house, she's trying to find a place that's affordable for her. She's 68, and I wish that was there for her, but I don't want to put her in a place where there's a motel.
Yeah.
And there's a guy, I don't know, who it is, who's walking there. Maybe she lives there with her daughter in the same room. And do I want my daughter to see that? That's my thing. That's just, I want it to be affordable. Yes, we have to have it. And I'm not gonna against I just wish it was apartments, and you had a point. You sold it. And by the way, congratulations. I wasn't here last meeting for the 300th time.
The man.
And John for the vice presidency. I wish I could have been here to vote, but sorry, it's like a last minute thing. I did say I was gonna come to the meeting, but work said, oye, no puedes irte.
And one last thing, I mean, I think Claudia did a great job today.
Yes.
I try not to make it difficult for her. And, but I do want to say that I do miss Deborah. And, it would have been nice to say goodbye to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
But,
Today was initiation.
so,
You know,
great job.
okay.
No, it was good. It was good.
All right. If that's all there is, meeting adjourned.